So here we are, in the mountains, bracken beck and bleating sheep. This land is one of deep dark lakes and countless tarns, and of complex hill passes travelled for over 1,000 years. We are here to find the lonely summits and dancing becks, to engage in the specialist science of climbing rocks, the artistry of the descent, and the art of drinking beer, slowly. We hope to succeed in at least 2 of those. But enough of the sentimental stuff. We have journeyed north with the purpose of testing ourselves in some very challenging terrain and also to become more familiar with a new breed. No, not the sheep, they're relaxing. So folks, welcome to the Lake District and our pony for the next few days, the Merida eONE-SIXTY 7000. It has been 8 years since I rode the very first Merida eONE-SIXTY back in 2016. Since then, I've had the pleasure of riding most of their new bikes. The feeling of the frame, the lively suspension, the perfect shape, silently gliding, spirited on the attack. Meridas are beautiful bikes to ride, and in the most ugly of places, this 170mm travel bike keeps you balanced when all around you is in chaos. This is all achieved with careful evolved geometry, every angle agonized over. A bike that has truly been designed for scaling those peaks and charging descents. Long travel, long range, full-bodied, quick and bright. Okay, we're on the move now with 7 modes, a load of fuel in the tank, and a ton of suspension travel. This bike is to be taken seriously. Oh, and can I introduce you to my riding partner for the next few days, Jon Woodhouse from Merida. I tell you what, John, that Shimano motor update has really made this motor feel pretty pacey. I think if I was compared to music, pretty much an Allegro.
Allegro, Steve?
Yeah, Allegro, kind of like fast and pacey compared to, I don't know, Grave, which would be slow and solemn, a bit like a low torque e-bike.
Fair enough.
Wow, this really is pretty magical. Got Langdale behind. Probably a good time to have a bit of a stop to give you a quick overview of the Merida eONE-SIXTY. Now, at the heart of the bike is the Shimano EP801 drive unit, which has had a massive software update quite recently. That means that you've now got more power in boosts. You've got a tunable overrun, which is absolutely essential when you've got steppy terrain such as this, and also a customizable sort of transition up to and above 25 kph. In terms of fuel in the tank, we've got 600 watt hours in the down tube, which has also got a 360 watt hour range extender. But the key thing about the eONE-SIXTY is the fact that it's 22 kilos, 174mm travel at the rear, and 170mm up front. It is a bike for proper mountain terrain, raw terrain such as this. Yes, you know, it can work in the homogenized berms and doubles of bike parks, but it's a proper mountain bike, John, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a big travel bike for doing big mountain stuff like this, and that's why we've spec'd it the way we have. So 38mm chassis fork, double down casing tire on the rear, stout rims, stout kit, Shimano Link Glide. I mean, we could build it lighter, but then you can build a cross-country bike lighter, but you wouldn't be able to do this on it. This
is the thing, right? Lots of, well, some brands are kidding riders, you know, these are 18 kilo bikes, but like you say, thin tires, thin wheels. I mean, like, you know, there's 200mm rotors on the bike as well, 4-pot calipers.
220 up front, 4-pot calipers on everything.
And that's important when you're descending this stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially once you've gathered speed on big terrain, you want to be able to slow the pony down.
The pony. Now, folks, our aim here in the Lake District, we've got the beautiful Scafell to our left here, is to actually try and demonstrate the capability of a bike such as this in this type of raw terrain, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a full power bike. You've got a huge tank on that. I should have enough here.
Breathe in. Come on, let's go before I get in trouble. John, that was quite challenging on occasions. I think that's where the EP801 update comes into its own, right?
Yeah, totally. That overrun, I think there are loads of bits there where you just can't pedal through it, and the overrun just gives you that boost up and over. I think with the previous update, I think that would have been a lot less rideable, whereas 90-95% if we're flattering ourselves, maybe.
However, the sweat is real for sure.
Yeah, e-bikes for lazy people. Yeah, lazy. All the lazy coming out.
John, can you just hold on there a second?
Oh mate, I've already been dragging my brakes. 220 rotors.
Actually, talking numbers, I think that descent actually proves that 174 mil travel is worthwhile, because that is not a trail bike 140 mil travel track.
No, that's a rugged, bumpy, rough track.
That's like kind of almost like World Cup downhill standard.
Yeah.
And you only really find that kind of thing in the mountains, don't you?
Yeah, there's nothing that's that rough for that long anywhere else. I mean,
that was...
if you paid to do that at a trail centre, I think you'd be unhappy.
that was full on, that was, crikey. And folks, please take care of the mountains, because that is dangerous riding. Just taking this stop to lighten the load a touch in my bag. John, we're in the English Lakes. We're exactly where we want to be. Probably this lightening of weight, probably appropriate time to talk about the weight of this bike. Now, Merida they say lightweight or full power. How about both? It's 22 kilos. I think it's important to understand for you guys that the majority of so-called lightweight e-mountain bikes are around about the 19 to 20 kilo mark, and that's with a 360 or a 400 watt hour battery, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's fine if you're kind of a lightweight rider, you know, sort of 60 kilos or whatever, that's going to have plenty of punch. But when you're somewhere like here, you want full power and you want a decent fuel tank.
Exactly.
Flapjack will not be enough.
It is so steppy. I mean, there has been moments of misery in the past 2 hours, but you have to have the power, don't you?
Yeah, there's no, I mean, like I've been moving up and down through the modes, trying to like eke out the battery as much as I can. There are times when it has to be in boost, because otherwise you're not going to make it
So what
up.
are you? You're kind of like 70 kilos, right?
Yeah, 72 kilos, somewhere around like that. And yeah, 600 watt hour battery in that. And I mean, like I'm having to work to manage it, so I'm using the kind of the 7 modes, and I'm using lower trail modes when I can, and then only jacking it up into the higher things when I need the extra kick.
I think weight isn't as important, and lots of people point out. I think the performance and the geometry and the suspension and the way the motor works is of more importance on a mountain bike such as this. So we've got some terrain up here to go at now, so let's dive into that, I think. So what's quite interesting is John's got a 600 watt hour battery in his, but because he's like 70 kilos, whereas I'm 95 plus the backpack. So this is a proper example of where longer range will come into its own. With the old 801, you'd stop, the motor would stop, and you could sometimes overbalance and tip over, whereas now you can stop, compose yourself and go again, because when you stop pedaling, you're still carrying a bit of momentum.
Yeah, it just gives you that time to kind of react and actually move the bike up and over something and then get back on the pedals.
Yeah, it's a far better climber, I think.
Oh, night and day, totally.
Yeah,
But if it seems that the motor takes a front seat on all the business of climbing, this counts for nothing without carefully thought out geometry to make this all possible. The shape of the bike in such things as seat tube angle and chainstay length for balance, and suspension that makes sure those tyres are anchored to the ground. The descending is about shape and suspension too. After all, there are few bikes that can truly claim to be built to entertain such complex terrain without compromise.
That motor, look, I am totally guilty of playing the numbers game when it comes to e-bike motors. It's not just about the peak power and the torque though. It's all about the personality of the motor and how you're able to interact with it in technical uphill terrain. Now, all this comes on the back of an intense 2 years work by the Shimano R&D team at e-World Cup events. And obviously they've been winning power stages quite recently. So what Shimano have done here, they've created a proper mountain motor. So I've demonstrated a few key benefits of overrun. For example, here you can lift the wheel in the air to get you over the steppy ground. And if you do overcook it, you can actually use that back brake to kind of control the power. And then, if you're going for a fail, you can actually back pedal and that overrun will stop. Wow, that was a cool climb, right?
Yeah, pretty tough.
Full on, right? I just want to talk about a few other things about the new e-P8-1 update. This is a very potent motor now. I kind of almost think that it's a bit too much. We've got it in max overrun and max assistance. Everything's to the max.
Everything is turned all the way up.
I think in dry conditions, it's good.
Yeah.
But like when it's a bit wet, I think it's almost better to back that slider off and adjust it, because you can adjust it all in the app, can't you?
Yeah. That really is the beauty of the kind of the update, is that you can control that kind of aggression for it to be like, it'd be super soft, super gentle. It comes in easy, it fades out easy, or it can be pretty harsh, and I think that's what you're feeling now. But
yeah. So when you've got the new update, you can actually have 7 different mode levels, can't you?
Yeah, well this is a carryover from the previous one, but not a lot of people knew about it or used it. But as well as the 3 modes of eco, trail and boost, you can actually have, I think, a further 6 steps of trail mode,
right?
which is great. Like say for managing your battery, if you go like, well, I want more than eco, but I don't want full trail mode. Yeah,
but you know what I like? I like the fact that you can actually go to the presets. You can have your 7 modes and your maximum boost, but then you can also have your 3 presets, which is the kind of old school factory setting, which is great for most riding, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And you can switch it just using the head unit. Like, you don't even need to connect the app. It's easy peasy.
And one other thing, you can actually see your battery percentage on your Garmin watch if you've got one of those.
Yeah, or it connects to all manner of GPS, or even the YouTube Ride app, so you can actually see a percentage rather than bars, which is really good for when you're not quite sure whether you should go for the next call or call it quits.
Like today. Wow, what a day. I hope that's given you guys something to ponder over. I think certainly a low torque e-mounted bike would not get you up some of the terrain we got up there today. And also we're thinking that if you have got like a 17, 18 kilo bike with skinny components, it probably wouldn't get you down there either. Something to think about.
And so it was, we dropped in under a cliff known as Hanging Knots. Very appropriate, as we were hanging too, and about to get into a right tangle as we descended into Rosset Gill. The trip had reminded us many things about EMTB, away from the often manufactured world of bike parks. Firstly, that you need plenty of fuel both personally and mechanically. Second, these are powerful places requiring bikes that are burly in both torque and structure. The Merida delivers on all counts. And third, a reminder that as much as motor power is a necessity, so too is the technique of the rider to be able to soar amongst those lonely summits. We tracked back along a lowland beck, slow beers, or so we thought.